She's not going to tell you. She's not going to walk up and say, "I want you right now." That's not how it works. When desire hits her, it rarely shows up in words. Instead, it slips through her body, tiny tells, micromovements, small changes in breathing, the way her fingers move, the way she looks at you, and then quickly looks away. The problem is that most men never notice these things. They're too focused on what to say next, too caught up in their own nerves, or too busy trying to impress her. But once you learn these signals, once you understand how to read them, you begin to notice things most people miss. And when you respond with calm awareness, it creates a sense of connection that feels almost instinctive. These signals come from a deeper, more primal part of human behavior, far older than words. They are subtle, natural reactions that often happen without conscious thought. So, let's start with one of the most interesting signs a woman can show. It's simple, almost innocent on the surface, but it often carries more meaning than people realize. First sign. She starts playing with something in her hands. It's subtle. She might not even realize she's doing it. You could be talking with her, leaning back in your chair, holding eye contact just long enough to create a quiet moment of tension. And suddenly her hands begin to move. She might pick up a necklace and slowly roll it between her fingers. She might tap the rim of her glass. She might twist a strand of hair around her finger. Maybe she's holding a pen, but instead of writing, she just keeps turning it in her hand. To someone who isn't paying attention, it looks like nothing more than a nervous habit. Just a small fidget. But when someone understands body language, they recognize that these small movements often appear when a person feels a mix of excitement, curiosity, and nervous energy. Notice what she's not doing. She's not checking her phone. She's not crossing her arms and shutting down the interaction. Her hands are busy, but her attention is still on you. That usually means her mind is trying to stay composed while her emotions are becoming more engaged in the moment. Watch closely. If she's twisting a straw wrapper, clicking a pen, or slowly tracing the edge of her glass, those repetitive movements can simply be her body's way of releasing a little nervous energy while staying present in the interaction. And here's where many people accidentally break the moment. They point it out. Why are you so nervous? Why are you fidgeting? The second you say that, you pull attention directly to it, and the natural flow of the interaction disappears. Someone who understands social dynamics doesn't interrupt that moment. Instead, they keep the atmosphere relaxed. They allow the conversation to breathe. They keep their voice calm. They stay present. Often, the more relaxed the environment becomes, the more comfortable the other person feels. There's also an interesting psychological reason behind this behavior. When someone feels emotionally stimulated but is still trying to stay socially composed, especially in public or during early conversations, the body often finds small, harmless outlets for that energy. That's why people twirl their hair, tap their fingers, or play with small objects in front of them. These tiny movements help release just enough tension to stay comfortable while still remaining engaged. The key is patience. Don't rush the interaction. Maintain natural eye contact. Let the conversation develop at its own pace. Often, the more relaxed and confident someone appears, the more comfortable the other person becomes as well. Second sign. Her eyes meet yours and then drop. Imagine you're talking with her. Maybe you're standing in a crowded bar. Maybe you're sitting across from her in a cafe. There's noise around you, people moving, conversations happening everywhere. But in that moment, her attention locks onto you. Her eyes meet yours. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And just when the moment starts to feel a little heavier, she looks down. To most people, it looks like nothing. Just a brief glance away. But eye contact has always played a powerful role in human communication. Holding someone's gaze shows confidence and presence. Looking away can sometimes signal shyness, reflection, or emotional processing. When someone holds eye contact for a moment and then looks down with a slight smile, it often shows they're feeling the intensity of the moment. Sometimes other small cues appear alongside it. She might smile quietly while looking down, almost like she's hiding a thought. She might lightly press her lips together. Or she might glance down and then slowly look back up again. Many people make a simple mistake here. The moment eye contact becomes intense, they quickly look away because it feels uncomfortable. Or they immediately break the tension with a joke. But people who are comfortable with social dynamics understand something important. Silence and eye contact can sometimes communicate more than words. When someone remains calm, relaxed, and steady in that moment, it creates a sense of confidence. It signals that they're comfortable with the connection happening in front of them. And that quiet confidence can leave a strong impression. I remember sitting in a quiet lounge once with someone I had just met. We were telling stories, laughing, enjoying the conversation. Then suddenly, in the middle of a laugh, she stopped. Her eyes locked onto mine. The room felt quiet for a moment. I didn't rush to speak. I didn't interrupt the moment. After a few seconds, she looked down at her drink, touched the rim of the glass, and smiled to herself. Sometimes, the most powerful moments in conversation are the ones where nothing needs to be said. That smile wasn't about the story we had just told. It was about the moment that had just passed, a moment where she felt something she couldn't quite explain. Sign 3. She starts playing with something in her hands. It's one of the easiest signals to miss because, on the surface, it looks completely harmless, innocent, forgettable. But if you pay close attention, it can mean much more. Imagine you're talking to her. The lighting is soft. Maybe you're in a lounge, a quiet bar, or sitting in the corner of a cafe. The conversation is flowing, and the energy between you feels calm but slightly charged, like the quiet air before a storm. Then you notice her hands. She's slowly rolling the chain of her necklace between her fingers. She's tracing the rim of her glass. She's twisting a straw wrapper without thinking about it. Maybe she's lightly touching her own wrist while listening. To someone else, it might look like simple fidgeting. But to someone paying attention, it's a small clue about how engaged she is in the moment. When attraction or curiosity builds, the body often creates extra nervous energy. Sometimes it appears as a slightly faster heartbeat or a subtle change in breathing. Other times, that energy shows up in the hands. Think of it as a natural outlet. When someone feels emotionally stimulated but wants to remain composed, their fingers often find something small to touch or move. It helps release just enough tension while keeping the moment comfortable. And here's where the psychology becomes interesting. People rarely do this when they're bored. If someone isn't interested, their hands usually stay still, or they shift their attention to their phone or something else around them. But when someone is engaged in the interaction, their hands often move slowly and repeatedly, while their attention stays on the person in front of them. A classic example is twirling hair. It's a common gesture for a reason. Wrapping a strand of hair around a finger and letting it slide is a small, soothing motion. It helps someone relax while they stay focused on the conversation. I remember once sitting in a quiet jazz bar across from someone during a conversation that had slowly shifted into those quiet pauses where the atmosphere matters more than the words. She was holding a cocktail glass and, without noticing it herself, began slowly running her finger around the rim of the glass. Over and over again. Her eyes never left mine. She wasn't thinking about the glass. It was simply something for her hands to do while the moment unfolded. That's when it became clear the interaction had moved beyond casual conversation and into something more emotionally engaging. But here's an important detail. Many people accidentally break moments like this. They call attention to it. Why are you fidgeting? Are you nervous? The second you point it out, the natural flow disappears. The other person suddenly becomes self-aware, and the relaxed atmosphere fades. Someone who understands social dynamics does the opposite. They notice the moment quietly. Maybe their eyes glance down for a brief second, and then the conversation continues naturally. Their tone stays calm. Their body language stays relaxed. The moment is allowed to exist without pressure. When you begin to notice small signals like these, you stop relying only on words to understand how someone feels. Body language, eye contact, posture, and small gestures often reveal far more about someone's comfort and interest. A light touch to the neck. Eye contact that holds and then drops. Restless fingers playing with a glass or necklace. A slight change in breathing. Leaning in closer during conversation. None of these things happen randomly. They are natural parts of human communication. Most people never learn to notice them. They rush the interaction, overthink their words, or break the natural rhythm of the moment. But those who understand subtle communication create interactions that feel smooth and memorable. Sometimes the strongest connections happen not through what is said, but through the quiet signals people exchange, without realizing it.